Fountains have been used for thousands of years for the purposes of providing drinking water or to being just aesthetically pleasing pieces of art and entertainment. The earliest known fountain was actually a carved stone basin that held precious drinking water or religious ceremonial water. This stone basin is believed to be from around 2000 BC in Mesopotamia. Early fountains used in ancient civilizations relied on gravity to control the flow of water from the fountain. These ancient fountains were primarily functional, often situated along aqueducts, streams and rivers to give ample supplies of drinking water or for the function of the fountain. The ancient Romans began using decorative fountains in 6 BC, and their elaborate system of aqueducts provided the water for many fountains, which were throughout each city. By 98 AD, Rome had been nicknamed the City of Fountains, having 9 aqueducts, 39 monumental fountains and 591 public basins. During the Middle Ages, fountains were only found in monasteries and palace gardens. Fountains became larger and more complex and grand during the Renaissance era. During this time, fountains paid tribute to rulers and royalty and were symbols of power and wealth. Many of the famous fountains in Europe today were built during this Renaissance time, including this wonderful fountain at the Villa d'Este in the Tivoli. The time between 1600 and 1700, called the Baroque era, yielded the famous Trevi fountain and the Piazza Navona fountain and the Triton fountain. But these early fountains were all made either of stone, marble or bronze. But over time, the function and style of fountains changed. By the 1900s and into the 20th centuries, fountains were mainly for decorative purposes as a result of the invention of modern plumbing techniques and mechanical and electrical water pumps, which replaced gravity as the main driver of the water direction from the fountain. And the invention of submersible water pumps can be traced back to just over 100 years ago, and it is this that enabled the studio potters to start producing a huge variety of ceramic fountains, which is the main subject of this video and which I will shortly present. Before I move on to talk about commercial and studio potters' ceramic fountains, of which there are many, I thought I would mention for a short while the story of what must possibly be the most spectacular ceramic fountain that was ever created. This would have to be the St. George Fountain, created for the 1862 London exhibition, modelled by sculptor John Thomas for the Minton pottery. The fountain was made of majolica, which, as you all know by now, is earthenware pottery decorated with coloured glazes. It was made of 369 separate parts, carefully assembled in London's exhibition hall over a period of 2 months. The top piece was a sculpture of St. George slaying the dragon, supported by four winged victories holding crowns of laurel wreaths. And the main support was inscribed "For England and Victory." After the exhibition, this spectacular fountain was moved outdoors to various museums, but the ravages of time and weather finally caused its disintegration, and it was finally dismantled completely. Sadly, a great loss to Majolica lovers. And the Minton factory, renowned for its magnificent Majolica works, also produced freestanding and wall fountains such as these pictured here. Another incredibly beautiful fountain is this most interesting Dalton Lambeth salt glazed stoneware fountain, which was made for the 1878 Paris Universal Exhibition. On the left is a picture of a rather magnificent ceramic Dalton and Company drinking fountain, but I have no idea where it is now, and there is no other image of this fountain to be found. And on the right is another Dalton tiled drinking fountain in the village of Clevedon in the United Kingdom, sent to me by my friend Diana. It is in countries which are well known for the production of beautiful ceramic tiles, where you would most expect to see impressive examples of tiled fountains. And here are some. Most people love fountains for their aesthetic qualities and for the somewhat soothing and calming effect that running water seems to have on them. So let's have a look at a diversity of delightful fountains, both outdoors and indoors, which have been produced, some commercially and some by studio potters. And we can once again be amazed at the variety of size, ideas, forms, and colours that potters can come up with, and the surprising number of methods of producing the flow of water. So enjoy these images. I made quite a lot of fountains when I was a potter during the 1990s. This tiled wall fountain, decorated in the Delft style, is still in my possession, and here are two more in the same style. I also made several wall fountains in terracotta, some with nice faces and some with grotesque faces. Here are two tower fountains, and the middle one I called Aztec fountain. This spiral fountain, which I called the Tower of Babel fountain, was, of course, inspired by the Tower of Babel parable in the book of Genesis. Here are some more very popular frog fountains, in addition to the ones that I showed in my previous video about frogs. The Gold Coast fountain was a colourful earthenware fountain, and the Lotus fountain on the right is in stoneware. The grotesque face fountain I made for my own fish pond in the garden. It was, of course, inspired by the many grotesque face fountains which can be seen in many parts of Europe. And finally, the fountain that I made in blue and white, and again inspired by a similar one made by the wonderful Danish ceramicist Bjorn Windblad. I was fortunate to have visited his gallery in Denmark some years earlier. Thank you so much for watching this video.